What's going on, everybody? This is Dane from NYYU. We'd like to welcome you to the Yankee Farm Report. Nick, we're back.
Yeah, man, we're back, buddy.
So the first thing we want to jump into is we saw some promotions this week, but we also saw some guys that didn't get promoted. Kind of some head scratchers there. Why don't we go into
Yeah,
the three players each that we thought should have been promoted? Who did you have first?
yeah, I'm gonna go with Xavier Marte, big 6'5" kid from the FCL. I feel like he should have been given an opportunity to move up to A ball and kind of see what he has there. Really elite fastball. He could put on some more weight that could probably push his fastball up to 96 to 97. Um, you know, uh, consistently. But he's my first kid.
Well, tell us about his secondaries a little bit. What besides the fastball, what's he need to improve on, you think, to go to that
I'm
next level?
I think just weight, man. Weight. His command is good. He's got a good two breaking pitches. He's good on the changeup. His slider is a good pitch. He's got a above average fastball. Like I said, it sits right now between 92, 94. It can get up to 96. Um, but I would like it to be a little bit higher because he's 6'5". It's just really weight, man. He's got to put on some more weight to be able to pitch a little bit better. But
If I'm not
his
mistaken,
command is good.
he kind of has the Cam Schlittler build, 6'5",
Yeah,
6'6", rail thin. If he adds some weight, he'll be a lot better off. Um,
no, 100%.
the first kid that pops up to me is English Urena. Uh, I don't know how that kid could not go up. He dominated in July, hit 419, had a 20% walk rate, a 7% strikeout rate. He has some of the best bat speed in the system. He is somebody who put up just silly numbers this last month, and they left him down. And he's a little bit older for an FCL kid.
Yeah, 19. Yeah, he came in that Roger class. I think he was the second highest international bonus pool kid in that class, and
Mhm.
he's always had the potential. It was just about staying healthy. And this year he finally did, and the bat played. I think he's got a little bit to work on defensively, but he should have definitely 100% been called up. There's no questions asked on that. Unreal talented kid, and I can't wait to see him next year.
I can't either. And I think that he and another kid that we have a little bit further down this list are a reason why they were able to trade Augustine Ramirez and have a little comfort doing that because they know they have two kids with this kind of elite talent at the catcher position coming.
No, 100%. I agree with you.
So who was next on your list?
Uh, a guy at high A, undrafted kid, Trent Sellers. Um, I just like this kid, man. I don't know what it was. The other night I went to sleep and I'm like, this kid threw four shutout innings in his last start. They started moving him, so I think they're stretching him out a little bit to see if he can be a starter.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like he should have been up to Double A, man. He should have went kind of with Ben Shields. They could have both went up there together. Um, he's an impressive undrafted kid, man. I mean, it's not gonna blow you away with 98, 99. It's not anything crazy like that, but he just knows how to pitch, man. He knows how to get outs. Um, the Yankees really dominated the undrafted free agency class last year, man. Out of that draft by getting two kids that are arguably, man, the probably the two top undrafted kids pitching
Oh,
wise right now.
absolutely. They have to be. And they got Jasso or Hasso, however you say that name properly. Brophy will kill me because I got it wrong. I know that. But he was another undrafted kid that they got that has performed very, very well this year. But
Yeah, I'm a big
an-
fan.
another guy on my list I wanted to see go up, Brando Maea. Uh, you have you broke the story on Maea. He's your boy. He plays an incredible center field. You know, the power didn't really show up yet, but he's a smaller kid with elite speed. And you figure power is one of the last things that develops in prospects. We know that. So I'm not really concerned about that, but I would like to have seen him get some time in Tampa just to get his feet wet there. So we don't have another situation like we had with Lalane and Legrand or some of the other FCL kids that got left behind this year and not bumped
Uh,
up.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, I would have liked to see him like at least get some time in center field to play there. I know they had a drafted a lot of outfielders, so you have Jones going up there right now, who's a
Right.
speedster as well. Um, you know, his ceiling is off the charts, man. And like you said, the power is going to be the last thing to come. We always known that. Um, but he can really pick it in center field, and he's been hitting great last 2 years. He had some injury, a couple of injuries this year. I think he was on the IL once or twice, if I'm not mistaken. And he turned it around, continued to bat good. I think he hit over 280 this year, um, in the FCL. He's a kid, man, that I think next year or the year after, it might be like a year or two, will finally develop power, and you'll be talking about a top 30, 40 prospect in all of baseball.
I agree with you on that. The tools are just too good. Right now, like we said, the power hasn't shown up, but everything else is there that you want to see. The bat to ball skills have improved year over year. Strikeout rate's a little more than you want to see right now, but obviously that's something that will improve as he goes up and gets more coaching stateside. I think the future is very bright for him.
I agree with you.
And now, who was the last kid you had on your list?
Eglin Perez, and unreal walk to strikeout rate. I think he was 45 to 35. He can really pick it behind the plate, man. He's like a lot of the Yankees pitchers, or I mean catchers, are more hitter over receiving at that age, but he is a different breed, different animal, that, and he can hit. He knows the strike zone very well. I give Fangraphs a lot of credit. They were the first ones on him.
They
And
were.
he really came out this year and put his name on the map. I could see possibly, if he goes up, him being next year at high A, finishing the year at high A, and as a 19-year-old, which
Yeah.
is super impressive.
Especially for
Between
a
him and
catcher. Catchers take longer to develop than any other position around. The fact that we're talking about him at 18 years old in this light tells you what kind of talent we're talking about.
yeah, super, super duper talent. And you know, between him and Urania, they're gonna have to split some time there. But I mean, that's an exciting thing to have when you have two elite catching prospects, man. So, but he would be my last one.
Now, the final guy for me, and this is your boy again, Roderick Arias. Obviously, Roderick got off to a bad start. The glove, there were some question marks with the glove, the defense, but I think he started to answer some of those questions. But he was striking out way too much and he was not walking enough. And then the last month and a half, he has turned that around, especially from the left hand side. He put up huge numbers the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, he's been killing it. I think the only reason is they're trying to give him more time, because he, like, for Roderick, he hasn't played organized ball as much. Especially when they linked to him early. He had 2 years where it was cut short because of injuries in the DSL and the FCL. He came up in this year. He's had his ups and downs, and this is good, man. This is good for a young prospect, because you
It
want to see
is.
them fail. You do want to see them fail, so they come out and they work even harder to get to that level. And he's a kid that's going to work his butt off, man. He's not going to stop until he's the best of the best. Um, I kind of agree with them leaving him down for now. I know that, there are talks that, well, Lombard got promoted, so why wasn't Roderick promoted? I think Roderick has a little bit more time in there, but the ceiling for Roger Garris is just higher than anybody outside of Dominguez in the system, in my opinion.
And you bring up Dominguez, and I that's another point that I wanted to bring up is Roderick is another switch hitter. And as
Mhm.
we know, those Latin kids don't see as many left-hand pitching pitchers coming up. So the right-hand side is always behind. Roderick's
Yep.
right-hand side is obviously far behind, just like we saw Jason at the same age. I mean, that Jason didn't really click on the right side till double A for him. So I think you give him a little more time, a little more experience facing left-hand pitchers, he'll get that to come around. And like you said, I agree with you 100%. His ceiling is higher than anybody else's in the system outside of Jason. And if somehow Spencer Jones could lower that walk rate to about, or strikeout rate to about 20%, then they're comparable ceilings. But those are the top three ceiling wise for me.
100%, I agree with you. And I'm not really too concerned about Roderick, man. I think he's still 19 years old. You're gonna get. I think it clicked for Dominguez at 20. So,
Right.
let's see what happens next year after a year of finally playing organized ball fully, and see what happens.
Right. Now, one of the other things that we noticed coming out of the draft and through the trade deadline is the Yankees didn't move a lot of pitching prospects, and they brought 13 of them in. So there's going to be a lot of upper level pitching depth. What are we going to do with all those guys? I mean, you got Warren, Beater, Hampton, Selvage, Vreeling, Bailey Dees, Zach Messenger. Um, Help me out here.
I mean, Cam Schlittler. I mean, that just got
Oh
promoted
yeah,
too. Ben
Cam,
Shields,
Ben Shields.
Trent Sellers eventually. I mean, listen, it's that's the best question in the entire Yankee system right now is what's going to happen because you have your 5-man rotation basically set right now, if not even a 6-man because you also have Clark Schmidt coming back.
Right.
So the question is, which one of these do you guys do you really believe in, and who do you foresee? Like I'm a big Chase Hampton guy, man. I think he deserves to be in the rotation. I think he's an elite starter. I think he's going to prove that. I wouldn't be shocked if it's not till next year because he'll end up in the Arizona Fall League, and that's my
Hope so.
ultimate guess. Yeah, he should be one of those guys there. But you know, he's one of the guys I could see there. But the question is, what are you doing at the major league level? Because I don't think you see Garrett Cole go anywhere. I don't think you see Clark Schmidt go anywhere right now. I could, but I don't think so. I don't think you see Luis Heel go anywhere. So that leaves Rodon's not going anywhere with that. So you have Stroman, and you have Rodon, and that's in the scenario if you get one of those guys move, let's say they move, Cortez. You still have Stroman. What are they gonna do? You can't just leave everybody in AAA or AA for no reason. So
Well,
I don't know. It's hard.
even before this last stretch with Stroman, I've been talking to you. I said I think that they may look to move him because of the money he's attached to. It's a short-term deal, and you can move a kid up or two and get younger in that rotation. I still think that's a possibility. It's not a for sure thing at all, but we also know that we are going to need some bullpen help next year. Do you see any of the? I mean, that bullpen is pretty going to be pretty wiped out following this year. Do you think you see a Messenger, a Bailey Dees, a Ben Shields, any of those guys, a Brock Selvage maybe as a left-hand reliever to start? I mean, where do those kids all work?
It's hard, man, because I think you were one of the famous people that said you wanted to put Luis Heel in the bullpen last year.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people said that. It wasn't just you, but you were one of the most famous ones like that said that. And everybody was like, he's only a relief pitcher, he's only a relief pitcher, and this year he's pitched to basically a number one, a number one pitcher.
Absolutely.
And
But what was the one other thing I said? If he develops that changeup, he's an elite starter.
yeah, but here goes another kid that's pretty much just like that. His name is Beater. Clayton Beater has the swing and miss stuff that Luis Heel has. Maybe not pumping in 99, 100 like Luis Heel is, but at the end of the day, those are the ones that shock you and surprise you. Like I could see, Will Warren possibly ending up as like a swing man kind of guy
Mhm.
that goes in there kind of similar to King.
Right.
Um,
And I think
has a
that's a really fair comp for Will Warren is Mike King. They have similar stuff, similar movement profiles. I think that they could both start. You could see Warren start off in that bullpen swing role and then eventually move into the rotation if that's what he needs. But
No, absolutely. And I'm with you 100%. And I think that Beater might be the guy that like for me is more interesting as a starter because of that swing and miss profile. And I feel like he was really figuring it out this year. Like he actually before he got injured, he was dominating AAA. Like
yeah,
for me, he was on the cusp of somebody that you could say, all right, man, we should give him a shot. We should really give him a shot to see what he can do. Um, then you have the other kids down there that are at AA that are coming. I mean, Messenger should be another kid that needs to be called up. I mean, talking about our list of people that wasn't, he should be up to AAA right now.
absolutely.
Um, he's proved it too, man. He's another one that I'm pretty big on actually getting an opportunity. But
Had another
you
good
have
game last night too.
yeah, I mean you have other kids like Bailey D's, Reeling. I mean, I don't think they're gonna like equate to pushing anybody down or holding anything. That's like extra depth. But you can see the Yankees obviously salvage is an elite one. Ben Shields, they obviously really like Ben Shields to move him that fast. Like y-
Absolutely.
you don't move a kid to AA real fast, out of nowhere if you don't really love him. and then have the director come out and say, yeah, his preparation is the best of any starter that we have in the minor leagues. Like that tells you something.
Absolutely, it does. Now, if you had to pick between him and Brock getting a shot next year, I know they're both at Double A, they're both left-handers, they have similar profiles as far as velocity. Shields doesn't throw quite as hard as Brock can get it up to, but it's close. I, do you think that you favor one of them right now over the other?
I could see them putting Ben Shields up there first, only because of the age. The age is an important factor. I mean, the Yankees don't really like to throw 22, 23-year-old kids out there. It's rare on the
Right.
mound. So I could see him getting an opportunity beforehand because the only Yankee starter I can remember that they started at 22, 20, 23 was, or younger than that, was Luis Severino recently.
Right.
And he was a top 20 prospect in all of baseball and had very much earned that ability to start there. And they threw him in against the Red Sox of anybody, you know. So
Right.
um, it's a challenging one for me, man. I think, like I said, I think the first guy would be for me would be Beater. Like I would like to see Clayton Beater get an opportunity as a starter, just because I feel like he was turning that curve of what everybody said he couldn't be, and that was a starter. And the Yankees brought him over from the Dodgers for that Joey Gallo deal, and he's absolutely killed it since he's been here.
He has. And again, I see him more as a reliever, but if he can develop that third pitch a little bit more, you need a third pitch at the major league level. We've seen what happened to Carlos Rodon when he went to basically fastball slider, which is the exact same thing Clayton Beater is. Doesn't really play three times through the order. I
No,
think
I agree.
you have to develop that third pitch. Maybe it's a cutter for him. Maybe, you know, maybe he goes back to that curveball that he had in the Dodger system a little bit. But I think he needs another pitch that's a little bit better than that changeup that he's had so far.
Yeah, I mean the changeup this year looks solid though. I mean it did. It looked like it was getting a little bit better. I mean, like I said, they
But
put
my
him in here
issue
in
with
the
that was the release point. The release point was different with the changeup than it was with the slider and the fastball. So it was almost like he was tipping that pitch. That's my concern with the changeup. The movement profile is solid.
yeah. So I mean that's something that they got to work on. I mean at the end of the day, I'm still a big fan. Like I like the kid a lot.
And I think he's going to play a big role on that team next year in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Cam Schlittler is someone that you and I are both extremely high on that has absolutely come out. And he wasn't in our top 30 to begin the year. He wasn't anywhere near anybody's top 30. And he has done nothing but come out and light people up.
Yeah.
This
I
is a
want to see how
kid.
he ends double A this year.
I think you could see him in AAA next year at some point. And if there's a need that arises, he could be there. And he's another guy like Marte that you mentioned earlier, that if he puts on some weight, throws a little more oomph behind that fastball, that could be a solid mid rotation starter or even better.
Yeah, my only thing with that is I could see the Yankees like starting to trade off a lot of his depth too. Because you just brought a bunch of people over, and he could kind of remind me of a guy that we just traded last year, Richard Fitz. You know, like made it up there, started looking really, really good, and moved over to the Red Sox. I don't think Fitz has looked as great over there
No,
this year, but I could see a scenario that happens too.
I was a big Dickie Fitz fan.
Yeah, he was a problem, man. I wanted him to get a chance last year too. He was another kid that I was interested in taking a look at, but they took
Yeah,
forever to move him up.
they did. They slow rolled him like they've done so many other prospects. But the last thing we wanted to do was kind of give everybody a look at what our top 30 list is going to be like, specifically our top 10. And at post draft, post trade deadline. And I think that everybody can pretty much agree on the number one prospect, and that's Jason Dominguez. There's no question about
100%.
that. There's no discussion there. That's the number one prospect in the system. And I'll just say this again, the longer that the Yankees wait to get him up, the more of a mistake they are making. They need him in that lineup because he can be dynamic either in the leadoff spot or hitting fourth behind Judge to give him protection. One of the two, Dominguez can handle either spot. He's a big stage bright lights guy. And I think he's going to be not just a star, but a superstar in the next level.
I don't disagree. Dominguez is has all talent in the world, man. From many evaluators I've heard from, Jason Dominguez is the best player they have ever seen. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what a lot of them will stick to and tell you outright. So,
Now, where this list gets really interesting is at number two, obviously. And most people would think we'd have Spencer Jones there. We don't.
we
It's
don't.
George
I think,
Lombard.
yeah, we all kind of universally agree on George Lombard. I think the talent level there, man, for George Lombard is very consistent, man. He's not a blow you off the page kind of player. Like I feel like it's very Volpe, very Derek Jeter-esque kind of like profile where it's not the best player in the world, but they just get the job done.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of Lombard, man. It's just consistently and extremely and intangibles, like intangibles. Using that word maybe a little off there, but like, but he kind of has it all, man. He could stick at shortstop. He could play third. He could play second base. I saw him the other day make an unreal play from shortstop
Oh,
on the second base
oh,
side. You saw that?
yeah.
And he killed it. Threw the guy out at first, man. I mean, that's impressive talent. I've heard he's really good. He's looked great at shortstop, but he hasn't looked great at other positions when he moved around too much. Where shortstop really has fit him well, and he's a bigger kid, and I just think overall he's going to continue to grow, and next year we're going to really see his true value.
Right. The one thing that we always heard about him coming out of the draft is it's not so much what he looks like now, it's what he's going to look like in 2 to 3 years. He was drafted young. He's still very, very young. I believe he just turned 19 uh, or is just getting ready to turn 19. By the time that kid's 21 and has fully developed into his body, finished growing, getting some man strength, I'm not sure he doesn't end up at third base, but if he ends up at any of the three infield positions, the third base, shortstop, or second base, I think the kid's going to play there and be a very, very good player.
No, I don't disagree. I'm with you 100%. I think you can start to see the talent, man. You see the value there. Like I said, it's a solid approach of a game, and I think he'll be an above average MLB player.
I do too. And he has a chance to be even more than that because he's
Yeah.
got those intangibles that you just can't teach. Growing up in a major league dugout, having a dad as a coach and a former player, they're just things that you can't teach. And like we saw in spring training with him, that approach as an 18-year-old in his very first spring training, he didn't hit great, but you know what? He hung in there.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
18. I mean, but how many players come up at 18 and actually get a shot, like with the Yankees that early? Nobody, So
no,
for him to have an opportunity to play, I mean, that is super impressive.
absolutely. And now moving to number three, we have our first pitcher. And Chase has
No,
been
no,
hurt.
no, 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 no. That's four. We jumped one.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
your boy Roderick.
Mr. Roger Garius, man.
Okay.
So, yeah, so Roger Garius is going to be number three.
Okay.
Um, the reason why I love Roderick, and I think we kind of just talked about it before, man. I think that next year is going to be the year you actually see Roderick fully take off. When he turns 20 years old, man, I think that same thing kind of like Dominguez profile, where he'll just break out and you'll see that elite level talent, and he'll probably end up being number two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just can't put him two yet because one, Lombard got promoted. Lombard's looked good. They both have looked good in their own way lately. Um, but at the end of the day, man, I think that the overall talent on Roderick Arias is an elite top five shortstop prospect in all of baseball when it's all said and
I
done. I think he's there.
I agree with that 100%. The talent has never been the question. It's just putting all the tools together to get that talent that we know is in there. And again, with some more time, you've talked many times about how he has didn't play organized baseball from a very young age, and then he was hurt his first 2 seasons with the hand injuries. This is really the first full year that he has played. So I think it's just going to take him a little bit more time. But once it all clicks in, he's the one guy that has the ceiling that Jason Dominguez does again. And that's a top, like you just said, a top five shortstop in all of baseball.
So, and I'm excited about his growth, man. I think next year you're going to really see it kind of like Dominguez when he broke out at 20. I think that's going to see the same thing with Roger Garris, man. This is his first real ball, and he struggled, and that's a good thing. Like I said, it is a good thing
Right.
when these kids do struggle, because it's not like the world is all peaches and rainbows till they get to the major league level, and then when they fall flat on their face, there's no way to really go up from there.
Right. And as Carlos always says, prospect growth isn't linear. So,
Yeah,
and it's the truth. Now, I jumped the gun a little bit on our number. I We were still arguing about that one before we started this, but Chase Hampton, he's missed much of the year with injuries, but you cannot deny where that kid's talent and ceiling is.
baller, and he's mean on the mound. But he's a very mean dude on the mound. But he has literally one or two potential stuff. Like he has potential to sit on
Yeah.
top of your rotation or be the number two guy there. And he's just a bulldog, and he's gonna be angry about everything. He's gonna strike you out, man. He's in every single pitch, kind of like Garrett Cole. It's the same kind of mindset for him, and that's
I
what makes him number four.
I see a little Roger Clemens in him, even where he'll strike out three guys and yell at the second baseman for standing in the wrong place. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, that's him. Like that's it. He wants to win, man. And some people that'll rub the wrong way, but some people will be like, all right, like he wants to win. He's a perfectionist, man, and that's what you want sometimes in pitchers, and that's Garrett Cole too. Like he wants to be a perfectionist. Um, and that's why for me, in my opinion, he's the number one pitcher in our system at this time.
I agree. Now, moving on to number five, this is going to surprise a lot of people that we have him this low, but that's Spencer Jones.
Yeah. Spencer Jones, man, for me dropped a little bit. It's for prospect fatigue a little bit there. But the swing and miss stuff is really what is hurting. I know it's gotten a little bit better recently. He's starting to not swing and miss as much. I don't know if it was the injury or not, but he's a kid, man. At the end of the day, that the talent and the ceiling is unreal. But the question is, where is the strikeout rate going to be? If he can get it down to like where Judge is at 25%, then we're talking about a very, very, very good elite major league player.
He, I again think if he can get it to that 23 to 25%, he's a superstar in this league because everything else is there. It's the talent and tools are as elite as it gets, the athleticism, the speed, the whole deal. And he's got the mindset of wanting to be a winner. There's a lot of things to like, but it's just, is he going to be able to, at 6'7", cut down those strikeout rates enough where it makes sense for him to be an elite major league player?
Yeah, and he plays for me the hardest position to play in Yankee Stadium in the outfield is left field,
Mm-hmm.
hands down. And for me, he would be the perfect guy there. Like he's a gazelle. He can really run out there, but his arm isn't the greatest. So putting him in left field, in my opinion, is the perfect spot for him if he can 100% hit on everything.
I I have no questions about him being able to handle any defensive position or any of the outfield positions defensively. The arm, it's been better, it's been worse. We've seen him make some really good throws, and then he's had some accuracy issues. And I've seen some different velocities from him. It's not the strongest arm in the world, but this is a kid who had TJ a couple years ago, and maybe it's still improving. But I think defensively, he can handle any of the three that you want to put him at.
I don't disagree. I hope he sticks in left.
Okay. Who'd you have at six?
I think we all kind of agreed on this one too, man. It was pretty much unanimous here. I think Lalane was number six. I mean, the talent there is unreal. Finally getting a shot up at A ball, which I'm excited to see how he does. He's another kid I hope ends up in the Arizona Fall League as well. Um, but the ceiling is just the highest of any pitcher in our system at this moment right now.
Right.
If everything hits, a left-hander, big kid can really throw it up there. I think the only knock on him is a little bit of command. I mean, and he hasn't thrown to under a 4 ERA yet, but I think the ceiling in terms of where we want to see him is what we're projecting on right now.
Right. And the one of the big things is with a kid that big, you don't see consistent, repeatable mechanics across three or four pitches like he has. And while the arm slot will get a little wonky once in a while, the mechanics are consistent. Um, I and there's not a whole lot of guys that can go 99 or 98 like he can, as we saw in the futures game, and then go down to 74 with a curveball and still be able to control those two pitches. Um, this is a 100% ceiling ranking because, again, he's been hurt this year. We haven't seen him perform much below a 4 ERA, but the overall package is just through the roof. And if he clicks, that's someone I could say could be an ace. And I don't say that about many young kids, but
Yeah.
he has a ceiling of a legitimate ace for me.
No, I agree. Agree with you 100% on that. It's all about the potential on that pick.
Who'd you have at 7?
So this one here, I'm gonna go with Ben Hess. Um, first round pick that we drafted. Um, I'm a big. A lot of people, man, don't love didn't love the pick. You know, it's because you ran on arms. I like Ben Hess a lot, man. He had a 13 plus K per nine. Um, he has all the talent in the world, man. Unreal slider, great fastball, can get it up to 99, sometimes hitting 100. In my opinion, he's a dude that can literally be an ace. It's just all going to be about health. And if he can continue to locate better. And those are the only two things that you can knock on him. But as
Well,
long
the
as
body composition's a little, he's a little needs to get in shape too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so does CC Sabathia, but that guy was a Hall of Famer, you know what I mean? So
That's fair.
you,
That's fair.
you could say that too. But at the end of the day, man, I'm a big fan of Ben Hess. I think, he's a bulldog too on the mound, man, from Alabama. Uh, he's a kid that I like at 7, man. This is still a projection pick, man, because you're still, we haven't seen him pitch yet, and I understand that. But this is projectable, and I project that, this time next year he could even be higher on our list.
Okay. See, I like the kid that was drafted right behind him a little bit better. Cunningham. I like the change up. I like the mentality on the mound. I just think that that kid is Drew Thorpe 2.0 with a higher fastball velocity. That's who I would have there, but I can certainly see the argument for Hess. I think the Yankees got two really, really good, strong pitchers in the first 2 rounds there. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens to them after we see them go through their motion capture sessions, after they go through the gas station, after they do their velocity training, their strength training, and go through all the things that we saw the kids from last year's class do and see how they turn out. But as far as overall talent, those two, did a really good job in the first 2 rounds with those two.
Yeah.
So who'd you have 8?
Your guy right there, man, Bryce Cunningham.
Yeah.
Like, so Bryce Cunningham, man, right after that. I mean, that to me, you could have argued, man, he could have been a first round pick anyway as well. I mean, his talent is just unreal. Like you said, changeup is disgusting. Fastball is better than what Drew Thorpe's was. From Vanderbilt was a Friday night starter. You know, I,
And
I
the
love the
Yankees
pick.
love them some Vandy kids.
Yeah, they do. And I love that pick, man. I really did. Like I remember when we talked with Bobby on the show, man. I got to actually mention both of those kids that we
You
drafted.
did. You called
And
both of them.
I liked Bryce Cunningham a lot, man. I did. And I liked Ben Hess. I just didn't know if Ben Hess would be like a Yankees pick, but I'm happy we walked away with both of them. Like I said, this time next year we could be talking about them both at like 3 and 4 in the system,
Right.
realistically, because you'll see players like Dominguez graduate. Um, I think you'll still have Lombard Roderick up there, and I don't think, IFA wise that we have a kid that's going to jump out like that and in the class, but for the upcoming year. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm excited, man, to see what both of them have going forward.
Now, who'd you have at 9?
I'm gonna put your boy there, Mr. Urena. I'm gonna put Englith Urena there. I think
Yeah.
just the season he had, man. Um, talent wise, it's there's no question he's got it all. It's just been about health for him. Realistically, he could have been top 5 had he been healthy the first 2 years. It's only health is the only thing holding him back. He needs to work on defense a little bit,
A little
but
bit.
defense and health. I mean, those would be the two things there that I would say that we have to really see, with him going forward, what's going to happen, and
And
I'm excited, man.
I am too. The bat speed is some of the best in the system. The exit velocities are some of the best in the system. Obviously, he does with the 20% walk rate. He knows how to take a walk. He has an excellent eye at the plate with only 7% strikeout rate in July. Uh, that's pretty special from a kid that has played as limited pro ball as he has. And he hit 419, 420, was it? 419, something like that in the month of July with 9 extra base hits. I mean, the
Yeah, I
kid
think
is
he
just an
OPS almost 1,500.
yeah, the kid is just an absolute monster. And that's another reason why I thought he should have gone up to the A ball to finish the season so we could continue to get a look at him that way.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And then I might have had him a little higher on these rankings had he gone there and dominated A ball as well,
Yeah.
especially at 19 years old. So,
Now, rounding out our top 10, who would you have at number 10?
yeah, I'm going to go Brandon Maya. And then my 11th kid, I'll just honorable mention him, would be Will Warren. Not a
Mm-hmm.
knock on Will Warren. I just think the potential for everybody else a little bit higher there at this moment.
Right.
Um, but I'm gonna go Brando Maya. The Brando's a hard one to rank, man, because if you look at overall ceiling potential wise, he's top five. There's no question as he might be even top three.
Maybe.
Overall. What I will say, like we said, the power is the last thing to come for him. His extra base hits, he only had 4 extra base hits this year. He did deal with injuries, but he could pick it, man, at center field.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, he's the best defensive center fielder the Yankees have in their system right now. Um, the bat to ball skills are elite. The only question, like I said, is power right now. And the
Right.
strikeout rate was a little high. He had, I think it was 28% or pushing a little over 28%. But if he can figure that out too and bring that down to 22% next year and then start hitting for power, I think we're going to be talking about a kid easily. If he can get to like 9, 10 home runs, that's going to be top five in the system, hands down.
Absolutely. Again, he hasn't played a lot of organized baseball. He's still very young. Power's the last thing that develops, but all the tools are there to be an elite prospect. And I'm excited for him next year. I really cannot wait to see what he does. And even further than next year, as he starts to add some strength and power, that could be a really exciting player. And we could
No,
see
I
him
disagree.
in we could see him in center field in a few years, and when it's time to slide Judge to DH, realistically. And then
I don't disagree.
our honorable mention, we both agree, was Will Warren. Yeah, he got shelled yesterday, but he still has a ceiling of a mid rotation starter and maybe even a really good bullpen arm, long reliever, somebody that you can, like a Mike King, like we mentioned before, who can come in and get outs 2 to 3 innings a couple times a week. I The kid is still very young in his major league career. I wouldn't judge him just based off of the first two
Two
starts, even
starts.
though he looked
He wasn't
good.
even bad the first one, man.
Right.
He threw one bad sweeper. That was it, man.
And the movement on those pitches is still insane. That sweeper is one of the
It's
best
Michael
sweep.
King-esque.
It
It
is.
is. It's Michael King. That's it, man. And at the end of the day, he's not a kid to hate on. I mean, look, two starts and your first start was against the Phillies. Last start was first start in Yankee Stadium. You're gonna have some jitters, I'm sure, 100%. Uh, give the kid a chance, man. I'm not concerned. It's two starts. We'll see what happens. Not everybody's gonna come up and be Roger Clemens or Barry Bonds on their first day. Never gonna happen like that. But at the end of the day, um, he's a kid that I think has a high potential. But I just, like I said, the other 10 kids for me, you're talking superstars or one or two pitchers. That's
Right.
where I think the difference lies in that.
Yeah, you hit that exactly where I would, is that everybody else has a ceiling that's a little bit higher. He's more of a higher floor for me, but he still has a lot of major league value. And that's why he is real close to the top 10, just not in the top 10 for me right now. But when we interviewed Grayson Crawford last year, who was his pitching coach in AA, he said, never bet against Will Warren. And I'm not going to. I think that kid has a solid major league career in front of him.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. I think he'll be fine. Whether, like I said, next year it's in the bullpen. I don't know if he'll start because I just like I said we have too many pitchers.
Right.
But even in the bullpen, man, if you could turn into Michael King in the bullpen, that was an elite player the Yankees needed, and that guy turned around and headlined your package for Juan Soto. So
Right.
that tells you all you need to know about Will Warren, man. If he's comparable to Michael King, I mean, that's that kind of player.
And you mentioned a possible bullpen role. They used him in the bullpen. And it was like off the top of my head, it was like 3 or 4 times last year in September in AAA, pitched below a 1 ERA. So he has the ability to pair those 5 or 6 pitches that he throws down to about 3 with that sweeper, sinker, and changeup. And he can be a really effective reliever that way. And he's proven that in AAA. Very small sample size, but I think that that's how he breaks into the major leagues is as a long reliever, and then maybe possibly moves into the rotation, just like a Michael King.
Yeah, I agree 100% on it. And that's why, like I said, he's the only one that missed right out. But you guys got to stick on to our top 30. It's going to be an elite list. I'm excited to put it on NYYU.
Yep,
All of us, and our top. That's just a prelim to our top 10.
absolutely. Tell everybody where they can find you.
On Instagram, still, Yankees IFA signings, always posting on there, man. It's exciting there, man. A lot of cool videos going out there of players that we're going to be signing in the next couple of years.
And we also have an interview with a top international free agent from last year that you have lined up in the next couple weeks. Make sure to be on the lookout for that, guys. That's going to be an exciting interview. Um, Nick, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week. Later.